what can I say, questionsomeness, you can say.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Right? A human being who is alive means, or will be referring a person's life. What is life? Starting from birth to death, that is life. So when we talk about population, we are talking about human beings who are alive. That means we will not take into consideration stillborn children because there is no life at all. Only our count, head count starts from when a child comes into this world or when the delivery occurs. From that time onwards, till a person is declared as brain dead. For instance, there may be some persons who have suffered accidents or some other, let us say, pathological ailments. They may go into coma. For all practical purposes, their brain is not dead. All other organs are not working. But when we define death in demography, be it social or formal, we say that when a person is brain dead, then only we declare it as death. So for our population, even these people who are in coma also are human. Right? So population means living human beings who have taken birth. I think this concept is clear now.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us go to the second one. Right? Oh, wonderful, wonderful. If you have any doubt, you please stop me. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how they are arranged? We usually do this arrangement even at our, let us say, where we live, whether it is workspace or your domestic space. We'll be arranging so many things. We think that, okay, our TV should be here, or our book should be here, or our study table should be here, or our computer should be here. If you go into a kitchen, then various utensils should be in a particular way. All this is nothing but a kind of arrangement. Right? Similarly, population also will be arranged in certain ways. This arrangement is known as composition. When we talk about arrangement of population, then we have to talk about certain criteria or some rules which we have to follow in order to arrange our population. We always do this, even in our common day-to-day life also. Say, for instance, we divide our house into drawing room, bedroom, kitchen, like that. Even if it is one room tenement, we usually are saying, okay, this particular part is meant for drawing room activities. This part is meant for sleeping or bedroom activities. This part is meant for certain other activities. Like that we usually organize. Here, what is it we are doing? We are taking certain criteria. Drawing room, there is an activity. Bedroom, other activities. Certain other activities we are taking into consideration. Similarly, some criteria will be taken into consideration. That may be gender or sex differences. That may be age, or that may be where our population are residing, or that may be what type of work they are doing, or whether they are educated or not. This is informal demography for age, sex composition. Even for social demography also, it is very, very crucial because age, sex composition by a mere diagram, a pyramid diagram, or let us say a kind of Applewhite's diagram. I mean, all these diagrams clearly explain the characteristics of that particular population. So what is meant by this age-sex composition? When we divide population into various age groups, then we arrange them in all these age groups. What are these age groups? We may take, because we are having a variety of scales, let us take a nominal scale. Let us say 0 to or day 1 to 5 years, that is one group. 5 to 14 years, another group. 14 to 20 years, another group. Like that, 5 years gap we can take. We can take and we can fit all those numbers. Let us say 0 to 5 years old people are, let us say in our country. Now, of course, it is changed. But if you take 1991 census, then our base was very big because many children were in the age group of 0 to 14. And that is the reason why we utilize this population and we call it as demographic dividend. What is meant by this demographic dividend? Of course, we are suffered with population explosion even in 1991. Even that concept also we are going to discuss after a few minutes. But at the same time, the same population explosion has given some kind of benefits to us. During 1990, birth rates were very high, 80s, 90s. Because of that, many young children were there. But once they enter into 15th year, you please count 1991 census. When do they enter into their 15th year? 1991 to 2001. 10 years, right? 2015, 15 years. By 2015, we started reaping the benefits of this demographic dividend. I think you got my point, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How? Because all these persons entered into the working population. I know you are going to say, madam, there is rampant unemployment in our country. How are you saying that all these are? Yes, I do accept. People who are ready to work, who have the ability to work, who are the capability to work. What we did starting from 1990 onwards is we started establishing schools and colleges. We have given a lot of emphasis to education. We have taken in a poetical way, I'm saying. Of course, it has not happened in all places. That is the reason. Only as a slogan, I am saying, we should establish schools. So many open schools also we have established. So if any person would like to learn 3 hours, reading, writing, and arithmetic, there is no need for him to go to a school. He can sit at home. Again, he can write an examination through a school system also. So what we did is, in order to utilize this demographic dividend, we have given education to all these children. And what has happened in 2015? Many people, you please see, many people started going to other countries. Many people started going for higher education so that they can add more and more money. If you see, there is no need to say some statistics, graphs, and all those things. You please inquire your neighbors. You will come across during 2015, more or less, 9 in 10 houses, either one person or 2 persons might have gone abroad either for education or for some kind of employment. This is one aspect. Second aspect also is there. During last quarter, from that time onwards, many people went to Dubai or Islamic countries. It's not only Dubai, simply I'm saying Islamic countries from various parts of our country. And what is it they were doing there? They were working in construction activities or a variety of activities. And because of that, what has happened here, their families got income, and they were Antyodaya or poorest of the poor prior to this migration. And with this migration, because of the dividend, their economic position is increased a little bit. So don't you think poverty rates have come down? Now, how
Yes.
it is happening? How can we understand? By simply seeing the projection, the bar diagram, where we put all the age group people gender-wise. Here, this we have to remember. That is the reason we call this pyramid or any other this thing as age sex pyramid. If let us say girl children are many, then obviously the demographic dividend will be continuing, because the more the number of girls, obviously they'll be going for marriage, and obviously they'll giving birth to children. I have not yet gone to the socio-economic factors. I'm still lingering here only, right? Not only that, even these people also, these girls also will get education and they too start working. Their mothers probably were not participating in working activities, but these people are doing it. It is happening. If you see a phenomenon during 2010 onwards, if you are from Hyderabad, all of a sudden, everywhere, many girls' hostels came into existence. Many people started girl hostels where children, particularly girl children, are coming for either education or for employment. Women's hostels also has gone up. This shows one vital, let us say, century, leaving their village or town once they are married. Because as per the cultural tradition in our country, women after marriage have to go and migration for education or migration for career, migration for employment, etc., etc. That marriage migration situation shows what 50% of our country's population are not doing any remunerative work. That means whatever gross domestic product we are having, that is produced by only men folk, not by women. This resulted in a variety of concepts. If you are an economic student, John Robinson talks about disguised unemployment, where one person will be working and 10 persons will be eating. At the time, our country was still a cultural country. Hence, many people, they simply used to pose as if they are working in the agricultural sector, but actually they were not working. There was no work at all for some people, particularly women. They were simply looking after their families, are giving birth to children and all that. But now it is not like that. We are utilizing this demographic dividend, where even girl children also are working and girl children also participating in the productivity activities. Let me use that word. Now, if we say, let us say 2020-21, gross domestic product, it is only men folk. It is also women. I mean, productivity, it has so lot of implications. If many women are participate, happens, the age at marriage will be increased. When age at marriage is increased, obviously maternal mortality rate will come down. infant mortality rate also goes down. Gender discrimination, where women are looked down upon, also will go down. Women will be given more or less. I'm not saying equal status. It is not yet given, but women will be given more or less equal, because whatever woman is earning, very, very important contribution to the family income, household, obviously their economic position will go up. Then there is no need for India is a developing country. We can province of our age. Hello?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, but there's a lot of resound coming, ma'am. There's a lot of resounding coming, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in between from this.
Now you're audible, ma'am.
I'll speak louder. How is it now? Is it okay?
Yes, perfect, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll speak a little bit louder. See, AC is on, so that probably the AC sound is reflecting here, probably.
No problem, ma'am.
Okay. Now let me use a little bit louder. Now we were talking about age sex composition. So the moment we see the bar diagram of age sex, where we'll be displaying the population of both girls and boys, men and women. And this age sex composition also describes another aspect. Even this also is a concept. That concept is known as dependency. The more the number of dependents, the more undeveloped or underdeveloped will be the country. Then who are these dependents? If they are not, yesterday also we were discussing about, if they are not participating in productivity or participating in producing activities, then they are termed as dependents. We have so many mathematical principles also. When we come to our forthcoming chapters, we'll be seeing all these equations and all those things also. And we usually divide dependent population into two categories: young dependents and old dependents. Once again, I am reminding you, I'm still lingering with age sex composition only.
Yes, ma'am.
What has happened during 20th century? Both dependents were many. Young dependents were more, and even old people also were more. The moment we see, the population will be a kind of pyramid-like thing, a triangular-like, let me use this word. Base will be very, vast, and even the upper part also will have many people. In such a scenario, what happens? The dependents will be more in number, hence whatever resources you are having will go to take care of these dependents. But what is the present situation? 2011, 21, we have not yet released. In 2011, the base has come down. That means children whose age is between 0 or day 1 to 14 years, their number is less. Why? The birth rates have gone down thanks to increase in the age of marriage or women's education or awareness of various methods to control the family size and all those things. Awareness related to the concept of small family norm, not simply or blindly following certain cultural traditions All these created a situation where we have less young dependents. Of course, it is really very good, but we are having other problem. Now, presently, the pyramid is upside down. The base is less and the upper part is more vast, a big. Why? It clearly shows that death rate is coming down, along with that longevity also is going up. When you see population dynamics during, let us say, 1911, 2001, at that time, longevity was between, let us say, 60 and 70 years. For women, it was 66 years, and for men, it was somewhere around 62 to 63. But now it is not like that. Now it has gone for both men and women, it has gone up to 85 years. And if you are having access to medical facilities and that is a proper peaceful life and all that, then the longevity may go up to 95 years. The present longevity rate is 85 to 95. This is really wonderful, right? I'm a old person. Yeah, I'm going to live up to my 95th year. I'm really very happy, Trupti Reddy and other persons. But at the same time, when I see the situation of our country, India, then I have to think twice. Is it better to live till the time or not? In a latter vein, let me digress only half a minute. Today morning, I saw one projection related to the population growth vis-a-vis food production. The article writer said by 2050, it is only projection. By 2050, most of the people will not be able to have single meal per day. The reason is population will be growing. There is not much land left for us to cultivate. Unless you cultivate, you cannot have food grains, right? It is simple, common sense. If you are not having, let's say, enough land to cultivate, then what is it you are expected to do? Ask some other country to send food grains to you. Obviously, they'll be taking a lot of money. If you are having that much money, then you can feed your country people. If you are not having, then you will not be in a position to feed your country people. In fact, we are facing this problem. That is the reason in 2013, a very comprehensive food policy is prepared by the Indian government, where the very first objective of that food policy is India is aimed to provide 2 meals per day for 600 million people. At that time, it was 600 million people. The population was 600 million or 60 crores. And not only that, at least per day, 60 grams of food per person should be provided. What is the link between demography and that? I know you are going to ask. There is a link. The more number of mouths to be fed, then obviously what happens? The country's development also will be determined on the basis of this dependency ratio. When old dependents are more, then the country will be in a position to spend or expected to spend more money on health care and also supportive care. Because once persons become old, they not only require medicines, healthcare facilities to take care of them. Because presently we are not having any joint families and all those things. We are all having only nuclear families. Then who is going to be there? Then immediately we have to spend a lot of money on educating the present generation so that they can take care of old people. So like this, the needs of the country can be determined by age, sex composition, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, shall we proceed?
Yes,
the distribution distribution of population is another concept which we use in our social demography. What is meant by this distribution of composition? It is just like, let me take the same example. Previously also I have taken example from our living space. At our home, we usually organize things in a particular way. But when it's or some food or amenities, then what happens? We have to do it in a phased way. Let us imagine that in our country, there are many people, lakhs or crores of people who are living in one-room tenement, and also only one bathroom will be there or washroom will be there. Even now, slums, which we are going to study in social demography, is a major problem for any metropolitan city. In a slummy area, let us imagine there are so many. In a slummy area, small tenements will be there. Somewhere around 20 to 30 tenements also will be there. If you go to, let us say, cities like Kolkata or Mumbai, then there will be more number of persons. For 20 to 30 households, each household, assuming that we are having only 4 persons, 2 elders and 2 children, 30 into 4 is equal to 120 members, right? No, more than 1,200 members. Rooms available for them. Then how are you going to distribute them? You may take a variety of criteria. You may take, okay, elderly persons, let them use first. Or persons who are going for their workplaces, let them use first. Or children who are expected to go to school, let them use first. So like this, a kind of distribution will be going on for a simple activity which every animal is having some system. Deliberately I have taken this example. The reason is this is the seriousness of our, for that matter, any population. So many needs are there. It is not, people usually say population is increasing, we have to decrease the population. Wonderful. There is no doubt at all. I am not going to say anything about that. And nobody is going to say anything about that. Fine. But what about the distribution of present day population who have already taken birth and who are living? Here comes the question of population distribution. Then what are the grounds for this distribution? We take age. We also take marital status. We take sex. It is not gender. It is only sex, whether you are a man or woman or transgender. We take the religion, residence, where they are residing, what type of work they are doing. These are all criteria for population distribution. Let me take a simplest example. During 1981, we used to have some statistics. Somewhere around 81% of the total population of our country, I'm talking about 1981, please remember, are living in rural areas. Only country's population are living in urban areas. So at the time, the ratio of rural and urban population was 81:19, because at the time, cities, towns, or urban areas, their number was less and they were not much developed also. But what is the present day situation? Somewhere around 70%, 72% are living in rural areas and the remaining persons are living in urban areas. And how many urban areas also are developed? The process of urbanization, what is happening, how it is growing, or many cities, how they are becoming world-class cities. When we talk about world-class cities, then we'll be talking about the type of residence also. Are we having horizontal houses or vertical houses? Presently, we are having vertical houses. And why this? This is very much needed. The reason is man-land ratio. If 100 yards are there, presently, somewhere around 50 to 100 persons are living in that 100 yards place. So the land-man ratio is 100 years is 2,000 persons. If you take, let us say, skyscrapers, the plot may be around 600 yards or 1,000 yards, not more than that. But how many families will be residing there? 50 families or 60 families or 100 families, depending upon how many houses are there per floor. Here, vertical buildings can accommodate more number of people. If more number of people are accommodated in a vertical building, then what about the composition there? Who are going to be there? Once again, we'll be coming back to dependency ratio or age-sex ratio. Here, I've taken only one criterion for distribution. Similarly, you take the criterion of sex. Total number of women vis-a-vis men. This is known as sex ratio. We usually take one constant. 1,000 is constant for demographic statistics. In other, whether it is mathematics or economics, we usually take 100 as a constant, but here we take 1,000. For 1,000 people, how many children are there? For 1,000 people, how many 1,000 men, how many women are there? For 1,000 births, how many girl children are born? How many boy children are born? Like this, we'll be doing calculations. When the sex ratio is going down, it reflects upon the country. It is directly linked with your working population, directly linked with various other aspects like education or childbirth or the capacity to give birth to children or the survival aspect of the society. Now, that is the reason why we started talking about female feticide, etc. starting from 2000 onwards. 2000 onwards, we have been talking about. During last 2001 to 2011, each and every person, you scratch a person, that person use female feticide. The reason is during that particular census year, that is 10 years is a census year, there are killed in the womb that resulted in 950 women out of 1,000 men. And we started taking so many and all that. Here, one more concept I have to introduce, that is optimum population. How much population we require? Do we require only rural population? Do we require only urban population? Do we require only men folk or only women? Do we require only children? Or, I mean, you please imagine, a variety of things will be there. These aspects, this distribution of population aspects, determine the status of various countries all over the world, their ideologies, their political strategies, their constitutions, ruling fusion of population. I mean, you can understand. By 19th century, that is 1901, I'm talking of the world level, not India. By 1901, if you see world's population, I'm taking religion as a criterion for distribution. The Christian population was more compared to other religions, particularly Islam and Confucianism, Buddhism, or other religions. I'm talking about 1901, please remember. But by 1950, it has happened. Muslim population surpassed Christian population. What happens if Muslims are more, Christians are less? Please, please don't think that I am not going into any Hindutva situations and all those things. No. But this population distribution has created various situations in countries like United States of America or United Kingdom, etc.
Ma'am, can you say?
I think all of you remember Muhammad Ali, a famous wrestler.
Yes, ma'am. Boxer?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, yes. Muhammad Ali.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Muhammad Ali, a boxer, no, ma'am? Wrestler.
Yeah, boxer, wonderful.
Yeah.
Boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali. But why he has become Muhammad Ali? Yes. But here, I'm not interested in his boxing and wrestling. Of course, I like it. That is a different matter.
Yeah.
But this deliberately I have taken as an example to describe the distribution of population on the basis of religion. All of a sudden, what has happened, the racism, very in general, and United States of America in particular, many Negro people or colored people, what they thought is Christianity is propagating slavery or concepts of slavery or looking down the black people as colored people and persons who have committed sin and all those things. I mean, a variety of these things. And all of a sudden, many Negroes converted themselves into Islam. And immediately the population composition of America is changed. To take an example, prior to that, somewhere around 80%, 80+% Christians and remaining has different religions. But after 1950, it is not like that. All of a sudden, Islamic population went up. When Islamic population went, taking people for scenario, that is the reason Indian-born person could level chair an American cabinet, or Obama, who was a black person, who was also. You please see, it is determined by one population distribution factor, namely religion. Not only this, we have differential, quote unquote, mortality and fertility rates, which determine the population of any country. This differential rates is a very crucial study topic, study area in both formal as well as social demography. Like this, population distribution is another concept which we use in social demography. Am I going very fast? Are you able to
Yes, ma'am.
understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So nice. Thank you. Now let us see some other concepts. Once again, I referring the definition which we have started at the beginning of this session. That is, social demography studies population distribution and composition and various social cultural characteristics. How these social cultural characteristics determine the population composition and distribution. Now, what are these socio-cultural aspects? Gender is one socio-cultural aspect. We are talking about women empowerment, gender discrimination, removing gender discrimination, removing glass ceiling. Keep all it aside. Here, when we talk about age, sex composition of our population, for that matter, any country's population or world population. But when we take gender, it is a little bit more. We are having 70 crores men and 70 crores women. Okay, this is only sex composition of India. I'm simply taking 50%. Of course, it is not 50%, it varies, but for convenience sake, I'm taking it. But here, the 70 crores women, how many of them are going for some kind of education? How many of them are getting married at the age of 13 years itself? How many of them are participating in productive activities or working population? What type of activities they are doing, if at all they are working? What type of status they are having in the society? Are they looked down upon, or are they looked on par with other human beings? When we talk about all these aspects, we are talking about gender, but not sex. Gender is another socio-cultural aspect which describes the nature of a particular population. If, let us say, our formal demography has given some statistics to us, right? Saying that in X country, why we can take our country also as an example. In so and so country, age at marriage is 13 years and maternal mortality rate is very high. Then immediately, what is it we'll be able to understand? There are gender differences or gender discrimination is there in that particular country. When gender discrimination is there, that means it is still developing, but it is not yet developed. What is the link between this developing and developed country? When we have the tag of developed country, that shows that our population is not having much discrimination, either on the basis of age or sex or any other factor. But here it is not like that. Why people are, particularly women, are looked down upon? Because gender status. In our country, women's status is always lesser than man. For us, it is always Pati Parameshwar. It is not Patni Parameshwari. Why I'm using this word is because who is going to take the decision? Of course, we will write on some kind of placards and all those things. And while writing some kind of stories and all that, we may say, oh, husband will say that I am taking a decision with permission from my wife. But in reality, no. In reality, women is socialized to succumb to the pressure. She is expected to think not about her, but about the entire family. What her husband is going to say, or what her father is going to say, what her son is going to say. So women's status is still low. When women's status is still low, then it reflects upon the fertility as well as mortality rate of women. Differential fertility I have already mentioned. Under differential fertility rate, even these criteria also we are going to study. Now, another concept is transition. Because population distribution or age, sex composition, or for that matter, composition of population clearly describes population is always dynamic. It is not static. Of course, if you are head counting, last year head count and this year head count may be same. But persons are not same. They are different. Some 10 persons you have counted last year. This year they are not there. After Corona pandemic, as per the World Health Organization records, more than 4. And this number is much, much more in some of the European countries. Right? Some of the countries, of course, the number is cultural aspects which they are having. A small country, I think New Zealand, has suffered very less compared to many other countries during Corona period. One article writer, I read one article, that article writer said that is only because of the cultural ideas of New Zealandians. What is the cultural idea of New Zealandian? Once they complete their work outside the house, they never go out. Even to go to their workplace, they take a lot of precautions and all those things. They prefer to stay at home work, but not to go any other place. And because of this, the spread of coronavirus is less compared to, let us say, Brazil or Britain or France or United States of America in New Zealand. Similarly, Canadian people also have suffered less compared to their neighboring country, United States of America. Even there also certain cultural aspects played a vital role. Of course, this is a little bit different one. But here, what I am planning to impress upon you is population is always dynamic. It changes. And these changes are termed in social demography as transition. And this transition is demographic transition. We have theories related to transition. Why we have demographic transition theory itself with that same name. So how population changes, we are going to study in social demography, even this aspect. Then another aspect, another concept which we study in social demography is how to control or determine or direct population dynamics. Control, we use that word when we are suffering with population explosion. Determining, we use this word when we are trying to have a population policy and implement it. And when we say determine, once again, how, on what criteria we are trying to understand the distribution of population and how can we direct this distribution of population. In fact, we have been doing it. Let me take one criterion of population distribution and what we are doing. Let me take a simplest example. Many people, in fact, Mazumdar, a famous economist, he said way back in 1956 when he has published his book, at the time what he said is poverty from rural areas is flowing into the urban areas, he said. Because at the time, rural to urban migration was the most prevalent form of migration. But is it now? No. Many people, what is going on is they are purchasing residential plots at the outskirts or hinterland of a place and they are constructing their houses there. And are they doing this willingly? Sometimes no. The governments have created an agenda and this agenda has created a situation where instead of rural to urban migration, urban to rural migration is going on. So what is it we are doing? The distribution of population to rural and urban areas, we are directing it into in a particular way so that urbanization will not become over-urbanization and so many problems related to water or slum areas or traffic or housing shortage. These problems we can, to some extent, reduce. I think I can take a simplest example. When metro MMTS rails are introduced in Hyderabad city, if you are from Hyderabad, probably you are well aware of it. One single route we have taken in order to reduce the population pressure on certain areas in the city. Prior to MMTS, many people used to reside at Amirpet area and all that because that will be easier for them to go to Gachibowli and other areas where so many establishments, both industrial as well as commercial establishments are there. But now they are not doing it. They are constructing their houses at Nagol or beyond Nagol and they are commuting from Nagol to Gachibowli area because of MMTS. Then what is it we did? We have directed the population distribution. Instead of having more pressure in the center of the city, we have diverted these people to semi or satellite cities. So like this, we'll be doing by establishing a policy for population. It will be educating people also in order to understand these policy matters and will be motivating people to follow this policy so that we can have optimum population. We have one theory, major concepts which we use in social demography. That is tomorrow. We'll go into, what can I say, social demography, population studies, their study matter and all that. So that we can say your first block is over. If you have any doubts or any comments, Trupti is there. Sharmila, right? Yeah. Sharmila, right. And my God, how to pronounce it? It's very
Which one?
big name. No,
Talagada. Devasena.
Okay, Devasena. Okay, Devasena. That is really very beautiful.
Yeah.
Valli Devasena. These are the two wives of Subramania Swami, they say in religious pantheon of Hindus. Okay, Bhargav is there. Okay, is this clear so far?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Okay, then you please go through the study material which you are having. If you are not yet received your book, my request is please browse. Use any browser and give these concepts. Already I have mentioned population distribution, composition, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no need to say only India, right?
Yes,
please see other countries also. It will be very funny,
Yes,
you can compare, let us say, UK and India, or France and India, or you take some African countries, Namibia and India.
Yes, ma'am.
So like that, graphs will be there and it will be interesting. Try to do that. Okay? Then
Yes,
see you
ma'am.
tomorrow at the same time. Until then, take
Thank you,
care.
ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
Have a good day, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wish you the same.